Breaking news now. As Putin begins speaking at the international summit hosted by China, European delegates begin to leave. At a forum for international cooperation hosted by China, European delegates walked out just before Vladimir Putin took the stage. The Russian president was invited to attend the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) summit in China, which was held in Beijing for the third time. BRI is Beijing's multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project that aims to boost China's international standing by improving transportation between the country and the rest of the world. The ceremony was held in the Great Hall of the People, west of Tiananmen Square, and was opened by Chinese President Xi Jinping, who was joined on stage by Russian President Vladimir Putin, who made a rare trip outside of Russia despite the country's The growing geopolitical gulf between Europe and the West was highlighted by the boycott of some European delegates, including former French Prime Minister Jean-Pierre Raffarin. As Mr. Putin was about to give his remarks after Mr. Xi, videos from the event showed Mr. Raffarin and other delegates leaving the halls. During his visit, Mr. Putin was also filmed with his aides carrying the nuclear briefcase, from which he could issue orders for a nuclear attack. Mr. Putin was escorted by two uniformed Russian naval officers, each of whom was carrying a briefcase known as Chaget, which can transmit launch orders for a nuclear strike to the Central Military Command. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping both used their speeches to rail against the West and highlight the strength of their growing alliance as Russia faces growing international isolation over the Ukraine conflict. While Mr. Xi does not support ideological confrontation, geopolitical rivalry, or bloc politics, he does oppose economic sanctions, economic coercions, decoupling, and supply chain disruptions. As Mr. Xi put it, our lives will not be better and our development will not be faster if we view the development of others as a threat and economic interdependence as a risk. This was in response to Western efforts to reduce dependence on the Chinese economy. Foreign leaders and key Chinese officials from the 25-member Politburo were in attendance, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, who gave Xi Jinping high marks for the success of BRI projects. When we embark on a major endeavor, we anticipate that it will be fruitful. He said, "It is hard to expect everything to be well, understanding the global scale." He then added, "But our Chinese friends did it." The leader of the Kremlin referred to Mr. Xi as his dear friend while on his only 2 trips outside the former Soviet Union since the Ukraine war. He insisted that Russia's capital can play a significant role in China's efforts to resurrect the ancient Silk Road in the modern era and invited other countries to join in on the ambitious Russian Arctic maritime transport artery known as the Northern Sea Route, which stretches from Russia's exclusive economic zone, EEZ, to Norway and on to the Bering Strait near Alaska. Next year, the entire length of the Northern Sea Route will be navigable year-round for ice-class cargo ships, he said. Both leaders spoke publicly about the importance of their close political coordination in protecting international justice after holding bilateral talks. In the current difficult conditions, close foreign policy coordination is especially necessary, which is what we are doing. And today we will also discuss all of this, Putin told Chinese President Xi. Mr. Putin met with the leaders of Indonesia, Vietnam, and Pakistan in separate bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. At the summit, he joined the other heads of delegation in an official family photo. After the International Criminal Court, ICC, issued an arrest warrant against the Russian president for alleged war crimes in Ukraine, the leader of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, met with him and was photographed shaking his hand. Mr. Orbán stated that Hungary never wanted to confront Russia and that the purpose of the meeting was to save everything that is possible from our bilateral contacts. Mr. Orbán has stated that economic cooperation is of interest in addition to communication cooperation. For siding with Mr. Putin's interests, including his delays in imposing sanctions, his refusal to provide military aid to Kiev, and his objections to its EU accession amid the war, Hungary has come under fire from other bloc members.